Eric Monroe never did surprises. Routine was his god. He left every morning at 6 a.m. and returned by 6:45 p.m. sharp. Monica, his wife of 6 years, used to call him her walking wall clock. But she'd stopped saying that recently. She'd stopped saying a lot of things. That Thursday started like any other. But by 11 a.m., the site he supervised had to be shut down due to a busted transformer. With no power and no work until morning, his crew went home. Eric could have hit the gym, grabbed a beer, but instead he thought of Monica. She hadn't been herself lately. Smiled less, touched less, laughed almost never. Their conversations had been replaced by long silences and the soft ticking of the wall clock. She was always on her phone, always whispering in the hallway, always saying she was running late. So Eric stopped at her favorite Thai place, ordered her favorite. He'd surprise her, make her lunch, and maybe talk for real. When he pulled into their driveway, he felt strange. Something was off. The curtains were half drawn, which Monica never did in the daytime. Her car was in the driveway, but no music played. No, wait, he was wrong. A faint rhythm, The Weekend. Monica's go-to mood music. Loud enough to be heard, soft enough to be intimate. Eric smiled awkwardly to himself. She must be painting or dancing. God, he missed that side of her. He thought he was about to walk in on a woman rediscovering joy. Instead, he opened the door, slowly, walked in quietly, the bag of food still in his hand, and stopped dead in the living room. There on the couch, the one he paid for, Monica was sprawled out, laughing softly, wrapped in a blanket, her leg hooked over Tyler's. Tyler, his best friend since 10th grade, his brother in all but blood. Eric's brain didn't register what he was seeing. Not at first. Monica's shirt was unbuttoned halfway. Tyler was shirtless. Their mouths met with a familiarity that destroyed something inside him. They didn't see him at first. Eric just watched. Then Monica opened her eyes and screamed. Monica leapt off the couch, scrambling for her blouse. Eric, I didn't know. Why are you home? Tyler stood up, chest puffed out like he'd been caught in the act of theft. Dude, it's not what it looks like. Eric blinked. Not what it looks like. The audacity. Tyler tried to approach him, one hand raised like he could explain it all away. But Eric didn't move, didn't say a word, just stood in the entryway, holding the crushed bag of pad thai, spring rolls soaking through the paper. You were at my wedding, Eric finally whispered. Tyler stopped walking. You were my best man. Monica was sobbing now. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. We had just happened once or twice. I didn't mean for. How long? Eric asked, eyes still blank. Silence. How long? Tyler shifted uncomfortably. 6 months, Monica whispered. Eric dropped the bag. The food exploded on the tile. He didn't yell, didn't cry. He turned around and walked out the door. He drove for hours with no direction. His mind bounced from memory to memory, laughing in the backyard with Tyler at the grill, holding Monica's hand on their honeymoon, painting the damn living room the exact shade she wanted. It all felt fake now. He ended up in an abandoned lot outside town and sat in his truck till the sun disappeared. Something broke in him that day. Not just his heart, something deeper. And whatever it was didn't come back. Monica stared at the front door for hours after Eric left. At first, she thought he'd come back storming in, screaming, maybe swinging. She was almost prepared for that. But the silence unnerved her more. He didn't return that day, or the next. On the third day, she filed a missing persons report. She told them about the fight, about the affair, about how he wasn't answering his phone. A few officers jotted it down and said, he probably just needed space. They were right, because 2 hours later, Eric walked through the front door. It was like watching a ghost. His clothes were the same ones from 3 days ago. His skin looked grayish, like he hadn't slept. Eyes red, lips dry. He didn't speak to her, didn't even look in her direction. Just walked past her, slow and mechanical, carrying only a plastic bag with a half-empty bottle of water inside. He went straight into the guest bedroom and shut the door. He didn't leave it for the next 24 hours. When Monica knocked softly, he didn't respond. When she left food outside the door, it went untouched. When she tried to text him, her message never showed as read. But at night, she could hear him, moving, shuffling around. sometimes whispering to himself, sometimes scratching at something. One night, around 3 a.m., she heard what sounded like soft banging from below the floor. Just 2 or 3 quick thumps, followed by silence. The next night it happened again, and again. She thought maybe he was just pacing, maybe sleepwalking, until one night, the sound didn't come from the floor. It came from the walls. At first, it was a faint tapping like fingernails running along the inside of the drywall. Then it grew louder, more deliberate, like scratching. She froze in bed, pulling the covers up over her chest. Her phone trembled in her hand. She typed out a message to Tyler, her thumb hovering over send. But she didn't send it. Somewhere in her gut, she felt like if she reached out to him now, in this house, with Eric still here, something irreversible would happen. Instead, she walked to the hallway and gently knocked on the guest room door. "Eric?" she whispered. No answer. She turned the knob. Locked. But she could hear the sound again, now clearly coming from inside the walls of that room. Then it stopped. She backed away slowly and returned to her bedroom, locking the door behind her for the first time since they bought the house. From then on, the air felt heavier. The shadows moved differently. Even the cat, Bella, refused to enter certain rooms. She'd hiss at the hallway, sit by the vent in the kitchen and growl, low and guttural, as if something unseen was watching from inside. One evening, Monica caught herself staring into the mirror longer than she should have. It wasn't vanity, it was curiosity, because for a split second, just a blink, she thought she saw something else standing behind her. A man, but not Eric. Not anymore. He was pale, wet, covered in something dark. He didn't speak, just watched her in the reflection. When she turned around, no one was there. Monica began sleeping on the couch with the TV on. She told herself it was because she was exhausted, that the house was just too quiet. But really, she was afraid of closing her eyes. The scratching had stopped, but something worse had replaced it. Whispers. They came late at night, usually around 2 or 3 in the morning. So soft at first, she thought it was the TV. Then one night, she turned the volume off and sat there in the darkness. That's when she heard it clearly. Why did you let him in?" The voice was familiar. Broken. "Eric," she screamed, ran outside barefoot, sobbing under the porch light. The neighbors peeked out from behind curtains, but no one came to help. No one ever did. The next day, she called an electrician, told him something was wrong with the vents, maybe mold, maybe rats. She didn't care. She just wanted the sound to stop. The man arrived that afternoon, gave her a tight smile, and descended into the crawl space beneath the house. 20 minutes later, he climbed out pale and sweating. "You need to call the police," he muttered. She blinked. "What?" He just kept repeating, "Call the police. Call the police." Officer Ramirez was the first to arrive. When he and 2 officers opened the floorboards near the furnace, the smell hit them like a brick wall. Thick, rotting, suffocating. They peeled back the layers of plastic. And there he was, Eric, curled in the fetal position, body partially decomposed, hands bloodied and shredded from clawing at the walls around him. His fingers were broken, one leg bent at an unnatural angle. His eyes open, mouth open, like he died screaming. The autopsy revealed something more horrifying. Eric had been alive when he was buried there. Drugged, paralyzed, trapped. He had suffocated to death beneath their home. A man who paid the mortgage. A man who once loved her unconditionally. Monica collapsed at the sight of his body being removed. Vomited on the front lawn. Neighbors watched silently. No one offered comfort. The detectives were suspicious. Tyler's name came up immediately, but Monica claimed she hadn't seen him in weeks. He didn't answer calls. His apartment was empty. Car abandoned near bridge. Missing. Forever. The floorboards where Eric had been hidden had been recently replaced. Monica said Eric must have done it himself, that he had spiraled, that it was suicide. But the coroner disagreed. There were needle marks in Eric's neck. Someone had put him down there. And whoever it was had watched him die. They couldn't charge Monica. There wasn't enough evidence. And with Tyler gone, the case went cold. But Monica didn't feel free. She left the house within a week. Sold it to a couple from Denver who'd never heard of her or Eric. She moved across town to a 1-bedroom apartment and changed her number. For a few weeks, things felt manageable, until the vent in her new place started making noise. Not loud, just a faint scraping. At first, she told herself it was just her mind playing tricks. Then one night at 3:12 a.m., her phone rang. Unknown caller. She almost didn't answer. When she did, there was silence on the other end. Then breathing and a voice. "You let him in?" She dropped the phone. It rang again. Voicemail this time. She didn't listen to it. Didn't need to. That night, the smell came back. Rot. Mold. Death. She ripped the vent covers off, shined a flashlight inside, and screamed. Fingerprints. On the inside. She called the police. They found nothing. No signs of forced entry. No messages on her phone. No trace of the call. The next week, her bathroom mirror shattered on its own. The cat she adopted hissed at every corner of the room. And in her dreams, she saw Eric, not as he was, but as he died, clawing, begging, screaming. Every night, he asked the same question. "Why did you bury me?" Now, Monica barely leaves the apartment. Paranoid, sleep-deprived, chain-smoking. No one talks to her. No one visits. But sometimes late at night, if you walk by her window, you'll hear the scratching, too. And if you listen closely, you might hear a faint whisper. "You were supposed to love me." This is a horror story not just about infidelity, but about guilt, psychological rot, and the horror of betrayal in the place meant to be safest, home. It explores what happens when love dies and something far more dangerous takes its place. If you were in Eric's shoes, walking in on your spouse and best friend, what would you do next? Be honest. Drop your answer in the comments below. Let's see how different people would react